Well, thank you, Chair, and I thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate your testimony and find it rather inspiring, some of the things that you were talking about earlier today. So thank you for your service, and thank you for giving us a little bit of hope, which is within a challenging study that we've been sitting through. So I'm going to come to you first, Lieutenant General Bourgon. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. One of the things that we have heard again and again from women service, from their history of service, is that they often felt invisible. And now in their experience in VAC, they're feeling similarly that issue, where they're trying to prove again and again that the things that happened to them while providing services had an impact. And because it wasn't being measured very well before, it's really hard to prove it on that other side. And I hear them really clearly and hear that concern and that there's something we have to do. The other thing that I found really interesting about their testimony, though, is they've talked about the opportunity for women if provided the proper equipment and the acknowledgement of who they are when they serve. So it's sort of this interesting opportunity that comes from some severe struggle. And I really appreciate so many women veterans coming forward and sharing that experience. So I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the role that you are playing and what you have seen in the last few years that women veterans who have served our country could hear from you today that they may not be aware of, that those changes are happening and what that looks like.
And thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I hear your comments, and I hear the comments of the veterans women because I've lived it. I mean, that's the reason that I'm so enthusiastic with that inclusion. But you know, the CAF of today is not the CAF that I joined in 1987. We've done a lot of progress, and there's still a lot of progress to be made. But now we're aware of those progress, and we have, again, the GBA analysis that is mandatory on everything that we do, from policy to equipment to infrastructure. So there is a fail-safe that we need to address every time we want to do something. You know, we have a GenAd, or Gender Advisor, in all of our commands that are there to advise. Chief Professional Culture is there to provide that expertise. So I don't think, honestly, that women are invisible anymore in the Canadian military. That we are part of the CAF, the same as the different employment equity group, and we are taking our place and we're being supported. Is it perfect? No. Do we have improvement to do? Absolutely. But our voice is being heard. We have the Defense Advisory Organization. So when we look at Indigenous, visible minority, LGBTQ, and women, that we meet regularly at the tactical level on each of the base. There's a level across Canada where we hear them and we hear about the gaps, what they want us to change. And as much as we can, given resources, priorities, sequencing, and everything, we try to deliver on what they need. So I think we're here to hear and to change. I think that's the big difference that I would note from 35 years ago when I joined.
Well, thank you for that. And I guess my next question, and I've heard this as well, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it, is as things change in the CAF and as there's more clarity about the impacts, what needs to change so that those impacts are less disabling to women, how is that information shared with VAC? Because what I'm hearing again and again is that veteran women are coming forward and they're talking about the challenges that they have. They're talking about how they think, based on their medical records, the impact was from the service. I hear clearly that you're working collectively to say, yes, those things do impact, and how do we lessen the impact by changing what we're doing? How is that getting to VAC so that when they do the assessment, they actually know how to support those women veterans most effectively?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I think I'll give the floor to General Bilodeau to talk about a bit the medical side. But one thing that we've just initiated is better understanding and a joint research between VAC and CAF to understand the needs of women and from a medical side, but also from a physical and a psychological and bien-être, the wellness, that working together we can make progress. So I'll give you the floor, Marc, and maybe Dan might ask something about the transition services that are focusing on women.
So there's a steering committee between Veterans Affairs and us that is basically trying to align our services so that we reduce the gap between the two departments when a member transitions, because we serve the same community just at different time of their career, as you would imagine. So there's subcommittees to that steering committee, and one of them is about healthcare. How do we align the healthcare services we provide to our service members, and how do we make sure that the same level of services is available to our veterans after release? Obviously, there's a component of that belongs to the provinces, because our members then, once they leave, they become citizen and it's covered from a health services by the province, and then VAC is supplementing that care with whatever we provide that is kind of missing there. So our goal is to align as much as possible so that to minimize the gap, because we know that there was a significant gap several years ago, and slowly we're trying to better align our program so that this gap is as small as possible, I guess, or inexistent. I guess the goal would be to make it inexistent.